What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, it has been quite a long time since I made a video. I'm sorry, guys, for being inconsistent, but hopefully in the next upcoming weeks with all the stuff that's going on in boxing and also in MMA as well, I'm going to be posting weekly content on this channel, so be sure to like and subscribe. So yeah, hopefully I can stay consistent. But let's go ahead and get right into my video, a predictions video for Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis that's happening this Saturday, I believe the 15th. A huge fight, Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis, two guys who are obviously great boxers. Big time boxing fight this weekend. Super excited for it. And I've been kind of watching, obviously the last two fights from both of these guys. Here's the deal. Gervonta's been gone from from boxing for quite a long time. He had a bunch of legal issues and stuff like that that's kept him inactive, and pretty much he hasn't fought in over a year. The last time he fought was actually Ryan Garcia. And obviously, you guys know what happened. It was a body shot, a clean body shot by Gervonta Davis that was able to put down Ryan Garcia. I believe it was in the 7th round, if I'm not mistaken, or the later rounds. And it was a great performance. He showed patience, and he was, he picked his shots very well, and he went to the body, and that's what ended up getting him the victory. And Frank Martin, I'm not going to lie to you. I am not too well versed in Frank Martin whatsoever. I've only seen one fight from Frank Martin, and that was his last fight, who he fought a guy who was undefeated, I believe, and had a pretty much an all-out war against this guy. And Frank Martin definitely showed his boxing prowess for sure, but I did see a lot of problems when I watched this fight. Because, listen, Gervonta Davis is probably one of the biggest punchers in boxing right now, especially for his division. He pretty much puts people out majority of the time. I think he only went to decision once or twice, and I think that was against Isaac Cruz, where he broke his hand. You know what I mean? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he had an injury in his right hand or something like that, or his dominant hand, and he wasn't pretty much able to punch with that hand, and he kind of just had to in a way not outbox. I guess he in a way just had to pretty much box Isaac Cruz with one hand. But Gervonta Davis, for the most part, puts people out, right? Frank Martin, he's 18-0 with 12 KOs. He seems really good. Don't get me wrong. He has really good boxing, very technical, very great technical boxing overall from what I've seen, which is only this fight. And I also watched a highlight reel type thing. And he definitely has a little bit of power too. He has 12 KOs. But one thing that I have an issue with Frank Martin is that I don't think he is that significant of a threat, especially to go up against a guy like Gervonta Davis. Not saying that he can't put out Gervonta, but this is the biggest fight of Frank Martin's career, by far. The biggest fight that he will probably ever have in his career is against him, is against Gervonta Davis. And Tank has already fought some really great fighters in his career, and he's been pretty much a big name for many years. I think it's been 5+ years that we've known about Gervonta Davis, coming up in the boxing scene. And yes, has he been inactive? Absolutely. He's only fought once. He hasn't fought in over a year. But let's not act that it's been over almost a year since we saw Frank Martin last fight. That fight that he fought, his last fight was in July of 2023. He hasn't had a fight since. So it's not like when it comes to inactivity, Gervonta's more inactive. They're both pretty evenly matched. Obviously, Frank had a more recent fight, but July, it's going to be coming up on 11 months since we last seen Frank Martin in a boxing ring. And this is the first fight back for Gervonta Davis. And from what I've seen from Gervonta Davis, he looks like he's in fantastic shape. He's taking this fight very seriously. Obviously, Frank Martin is a huge threat, you know what I mean? First fight back since the Ryan Garcia fight, and you want to pretty much come out and get a big-time highlight reel knockout, or, just get a big-time win in your first fight back. And that's what I think is going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. From what I saw for Frank Martin in this last fight, is he gets hit to the body a lot. And the guy, the guy that he fought, I forgot his name. I think his first name is Arnhem, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know who's, he's very, difficult last name to, anyway. Is that the other guy, he did very well in going to the body. And he had a lot of success against Frank Martin when he went to the body. One thing that Gervonta Davis has is great body shots. He's able to go to the body pretty much at will against this guy, I feel like. And that's going to be, I think, the reason why he will win is that he touches Frank Martin in the body. He's able to, throw hooks to the body and stuff like that. And he's able to open up Frank Martin because eventually Frank Martin now has to protect his body. He's getting drained. He's getting gas from these body shots because obviously Gervonta Davis, probably the hardest hitter that Frank Martin will ever face is probably Gervonta Davis, if I'm being honest. Those body shots are going to hinder Frank Martin. And I think that Gervonta will eventually be able to open up with a big-time shot to the head and be able to knock him out. But first round, I think Tank is definitely going to lose. Probably I will say definitely maybe the first 2 rounds. I think that Frank Martin is just going to pop out the jab. He is going to be more active. And then Gervonta is going to be able to... And Gervonta here and there will throw a body shot, a big-time body shot. He's eventually, going to find out, I can go to the body. He will eventually open up. I think in the 3rd round, you start to see Gervonta kind of pick up the pace a little bit. He's going to the body a lot more. He's throwing out the jab. He's landing the jab. He's landing the body shots. And Frank Martin is not, pleased with him getting hit by the body shots. And I think what Frank Martin needs to do, he needs to cover up early to the body. Obviously, you got to protect, you don't want to get knocked out cold by Gervonta Davis because he could do that to pretty much just about a lot of fucking people, damn near anybody at this fucking point. Because he is a power puncher through and through, in my honest opinion. And overall, Tank is a great, just technical boxer as well. He has, the it factor when it comes to the many versatilities of boxing. You know what I mean? He's very good, very technical. He protects himself pretty well. And, he also has, knockout power like no other in that division. I believe they're fighting at 140 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where they're fighting, but I could be wrong. But yeah, in that division itself, I think he's one of the hardest hitters. Him and Ryan Garcia, to me, are the top 2 hardest hitters in that division. Even though, Garcia literally didn't make weight in the last fight against Devin Haney. But anyway, that's besides the point. Back to the fight breakdown. Round 3, I think, is a Tank round. And then round 4, I think, the later rounds. From 3 on, it's going to be all Tank for the most part. Maybe Frank is able to get, some rounds here and there. But I think it's going to be Tank pretty much 4, 5, 6. I think the 8th round is where I see Tank get the finish. I think that he's going to continue to go to the body. You're going to see Frank a little winded from all the body shots that Gervonta is throwing out. And eventually, I can definitely see in maybe the 5th, 6th round where Tank actually catches Frank Martin with something and he puts him down. Now, from what I've seen, I haven't seen... I don't know if Frank Martin ever got knocked down in his career. I don't know. I don't know how great Frank Martin's chin is, but listen, at the end of the day, I think it doesn't matter how great your chin is. It does matter to some extent, but I think that he's eventually going to get caught and he's going to be put out. And I think it's going to be probably either a KO or TKO victory in the 8th round. It's going to open up because of the body shots. I think, listen... From what that fight was very telling. They went. It was a 12-round war, and listen, even though Frank Martin did not get really all that winded, he was pretty much good for the most part. His stamina, his he was able to withstand the body shots, but still give it back to his opponent. You know what I mean? He was still able to. He didn't seem like he was gassed at any point in time, but Gervonta is he's just a different fighter. He hits, I'm assuming he hits a lot harder than the Artem guy. I think he's just a lot better fighter. And Frank Martin, this is the biggest stage that he's ever been a part of in his entire career. And not saying that the lights will get too bright for him. From what I've seen, they've been going back and forth. They did a little face-to-face type thing where they did this podcast and it's with I think the guy's name is Gilly or whatever, and he has his co-host or whatever, and they were kind of asking both of them questions, and it seemed like he was bothered by Tank Tank was pretty much kind of like, listen, bro, like, you know, you only been fighting, like, started fighting since like you were like 15 or whatever. He's like trying to play mind games, and part of that can help, and obviously, like, that can definitely help Tank. You know, he's just like, oh, listen, dude, you're not built for this. You know, this is the biggest stage of your whole career, and you know, this is like just this is nothing new for me. And he's pretty much been saying that to Frank Martin. And Frank Martin is obviously like he's been taking the trash talk pretty well for the most part. At some points, it felt like he was a little bothered. They did a press conference, and he seemed a little bothered. And Tank was just kind of making fun of him. He showed him like a clip on his phone. I guess they'd sparred before previously, or something like that. It was like some type of footage that he showed him, and Frank seemed bothered by it, and Tank was just laughing. But listen, at the end of the day, those two are going to go in the ring on Saturday night, and the mind games might play a little bit into a factor, but not for the most part. I just think that Tank is just the better boxer, and he's just a power puncher, and he's going to put away Frank Martin in the 8th round. He's going to get a KO in the 8th round. So that's my prediction for the fight. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Peace out.